Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Coding Academy Month 1 HTML project. Now, if you have watched the previous one, you will be ready for this one. Go to Visual Studio Code, open that sucker up, and we're taking off right where we left off. Now, before we go into this, I want you to take a look at the code and be familiar with what we went over. We started up here. Let me just get rid of these two things right here. We declared the doc type. We declared what was going on. We created a title. We talked to the computer and said, hey, make sure this is accessible for those with different screen types. We have all that, and then boom, once we're done with that, we're like, okay, let's go into the body. We dealt with the head, we dealt with all that information, and now let's go into the body. And at the top, let's create a nav. And this nav is going to be great because it's going to help us and other people to see, oh, hey, look what we got going on here. We have a lot of information going on, and we want them to be able to find that information in such a way that will make it easier for them. So we got about, skills, projects, content. This is normal protocol for any website, is to have that ability to project that in such a way that people realize, hey, this website is organized. We got an about me section. So section ID equals about. We connected it to this. And ID allows us to connect the information by allowing us to paint the information. So we will show you where we painted that, which will be in the CSS file. And we are going to make this a section. Then we have another section with an ID skills, and we're going to paint those skills with the CSS file. Down here we have the project section, and where we're going to paint the projects with our CSS file. We split it project 1, project 2, project 3, which is where you will be placing your projects. And now we're going to the next section. For the next section, we're going to do section. And don't forget, code along is part of you coding along with me. And don't just look at it, because this will help you get it into your brain if you do it. So for this, we're going to create another ID following the similar pattern up here, where we are going to say contact. And within contact, this is going to refer to something within the CSS where we will paint this section with the attributes assigned to contact. So we go down here, we're going to do an H2, and we're going to have it say contact me, because you want a place for the people to be able to contact you, or else how are they going to be able to actually do with such? So within the form, we're going to have an action. Now an action is simply allowing something to be done. So with that, we're going to do submit form, and you can do .js, .php, but since we are focusing on JS, we're going to do .js. And then method, we're going to make it a post, which is just a fun way of saying, hey, post get, we're talking to the server here. And now we won't go into server work, but because that's not necessary for the full course to go into it, which again, this is front-end web development. We focus on HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We don't really go into a lot of Express, but we can go into the manual JavaScript post to show you what that looks like. And it's just post with JavaScript, with vanilla JavaScript, essentially is a lot more code. But the good part about it is that you see what's going on, so that when you do use something like Express.js, you're able to really thank those server-side application work, which is oftentimes seen as this on the side. So server.js will pop up here where it'll deal with all the posts and the gets. But for now, we're just doing this index.html. And within this, we're going to do input, and we're going to type it, and we're going to explain the type. We're saying, hey, what type of input do you want? We want the text type, okay? And so for the name, what we're going to put in this input type is name. And the placeholder is where it will literally, quite literally, show what is put in there. So this is what we are naming it, and then the placeholder is what the person will see. And then once we're done with that, we close those brackets and we go down to the next input type, which for this one, now we want them to give our email. They give their email, and we will name it email. And then for the placeholder, what they will see is your email. And then we will end it with those little carrots. And now we're going to do text area name equals, we're going to do message, because that's what we want it to be, placeholder, and then we will put your message. So essentially, if this person who's on our website wants to write us a message, they'll be able to write us a message. And then we will close that text area, and then after this we will do a button, because you got to submit, or else it just stays there and it doesn't do anything. So we have submit, send, and that is the end of the button. Now, that is also the end of the form, and it is also the end of the section. So make sure this looks as such. We completed that little chunk of code. Now we're going to the last part. Congratulations. We are going to the footer. Now for the footer, it's very simple. All we're going to do is put in a paragraph, a p element, and we're going to write ampersand copy, semicolon, 2023, my portfolio, all rights reserved, period. There it is. Look at that. We just created a whole index.html, and it's looking spick and it's looking span. Would you look at that? And I know you're probably like, wow, this is a lot. And it is a lot. To be honest, this is a lot. I'm going to do one space there and two spaces here. I'm going to do for HTML, body head HTML. Body head, I'm going to make sure. Okay, so right here, do you see we have an extra head? So we're going to delete that, because up here, if you look at head, it closes right here. So we want to make sure we get rid of that. So hopefully that is understandable. And the header comes over, so we just have the body, and everything needs to end. So if you see any red, for example, if you were to see HTML, that's a double. Sometimes it shows up in red, sometimes it doesn't, but you don't want a double. You just want one for each. Now to run this code and to see how it actually looks, what you're going to do is, if you haven't already, you're going to go to extensions. You're going to look up live server. You're going to download this live server by Ritwick Day. It's got 35 million downloads. Once you've downloaded that, restart your whole VS Code after you saved it. Go back to your code and double tap and go down to open with live server. This is going to allow you to see what it looks like. Now, as you can see, we got our About Me nav, About Skills, Projects, Contact. Then we have About Me. Then we have our Skills. Then we have our Projects. And then we have our Contact. And then we have our Footer. And now, as you can tell, this is why we need CSS, is because with the bare bones index.html file, it just looks like this. It looks bare bones. It looks like a skeleton. So we got to pretty it up, paint it up, and add that CSS to make it look beautiful. All right. So as you can tell, this is what it will look like, and this is what you coded, which is still amazing. Congratulate yourself, because it is amazing. And as you can see, it's running on 127.0.0.1 with the port 5500. And if you want to end it, all you have to do, double tap, stop live server, boom. That will end it. Make sure you do end it, because or else it will just keep on running and use up more processing power on your computer. All right, everybody, congratulations for completing this HTML document. Be proud of yourselves. Give yourselves a little pat on the back, because you deserve it. And stay tuned for the next. We will be going into another file called CSS and continuing our code onward. Congratulations, everybody. Be proud. You worked hard. Until next time, adios.